everyone, and welcome to a video I don't quite want to make. If you don't know who I am, I'm Nirali, and on this channel I like to make stuff like these cool embroideries you see back here, and I also like to talk about things I care about. And weirdly enough, this video is one where I'm talking about something I used to care about but don't anymore, and that is Harry Potter or J.K. Rowling. They're kind of interchangeable at this point. So, for context, I grew up with Harry Potter. When I was 6 years old, one of my cousins gave the book to me to read, gave me Sorcerer's Stone to read, and I fell in love with the series, and it had been in my life ever since, until about 2 years ago. If you knew me between the ages of 6 and 24, you knew me as someone who was obsessed with Harry Potter. I have so much merch, memorabilia, art that I've made, art that other people have made. My relationship to Harry Potter was very intense. I was obsessed. And I was also obsessed with J.K. Rowling because she wrote Harry Potter, and she really sold herself, or rather the media sold her as a rags to riches inspiration girl boss story. And as someone who wants to be a novelist and grew up with the storytelling of J.K. Rowling, I wanted to be her in a sense. I wanted to be just like her. I wanted to write and find my own path and become this international bestseller rolling in millions. Hasn't happened yet, but I'm working on the novel. I'm working on it. So that's my relationship to J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter, and almost up until the pandemic, in October of 2019, I was at a convention for Harry Potter. I was at LeakyCon, which is a Harry Potter specific convention where people talked about Harry Potter, where we investigated the books, where we discussed... It was a big old nerd fest about Harry Potter, and I had the time of my life, honestly, and I was obsessed. I wasn't as obsessed as I had been as a child and as a teenager discovering fan fiction and fandom for the first time, but I was still in it, very much so. And I kind of had to have a moment with myself, and I hope this video is that moment for those of you who are still on the fence, where I had to actively stop my relationship with J.K. Rowling, and I had to stop my relationship with Harry Potter. First, I want to address why I think J.K. Rowling is kind of the absolute worst. And those of you who know probably know, but some of you don't. And first I want to address, I don't want to say racism because I don't believe that she believes she is racist or has done racist things. I don't believe she is actively racist, but there are elements in her books and there are choices that she has made after the books in the newer movies that have been problematic, that have been offensive, specifically making Nagini a snake woman. I wasn't quite happy about an Asian snake woman who falls in love with a Dark Lord. It was just, that was not good. While she was expanding the universe on Pottermore, she named schools in America after Native American words and just basically erased the genocide of Native Americans by saying that, oh yeah, well, the wizards were good. The wizards were good. And you see that a lot with J.K. Rowling. I remember she once said that Hogwarts was free to kind of brush off the criticism that, like, Hogwarts is an elitist institution, and it's like, but literally the conflict with one of the main characters, his main conflict is a class conflict and the fact that he can't afford things, and that's like a big chip on his shoulder, so I don't know where that comes from. She has this tendency of brushing off things, like the fact that, you know, American history happened and the genocide of Native Americans is still ongoing. And there's some really painful stuff happening right now. And she's like, well, in my universe, the wizards and the Native Americans got along just fine. I understand that she is Scottish or British, but lives in Scotland, and she's not, you know, she doesn't have to be the most informed on it, but like maybe do a Google search on the history of Native Americans in this country. So there was that. And like within the novels itself, there are countless instances of anti-Semitism, and the comparison of the goblins who run the banks to Jewish people is just very, very apparent if you know what the dog whistles are. And obviously, as a 6-year-old, I did not know this. As a teenager, I didn't really know this. And if there were criticisms, they kind of didn't reach me because everyone loved her so much and everyone was so willing to defend her. There's also the fat phobia in, you know, all of the Dursley arc is just fat phobia, which, like, yes, Harry was abused. And, like, see, this is the defense of it. Well, Harry was abused by these people who starved him, so, like, seeing, you know, fatness means you're bad. This is how people would defend her, and the fact that after the series and after those initial criticisms of, like, fat phobia and, like, anti-Semitism, she didn't learn. She didn't grow from that and was just like, oh, well, in my wizard universe, everything is great and everything is fine and Hogwarts is free and Dumbledore is gay, without, you know, there being any textual evidence for any of that. Kind of problematic, annoying. Still something that if you really love Harry Potter, you can defend. You know, a lot of these are also classic fantasy tropes, and the entirety of Harry Potter is derivative of fantasy tropes. So, there is a defense for all of those things. However, Harry Potter's pretty much over now. Second Fantastic Beasts flopped because they just continued employing an abuser, or an alleged abuser, and, everything just felt like a cash grab at some point. So, over the past few years, J.K. Rowling's popularity has really died down because more problems kept popping up and things fade. Cultural phenomenons fade away, and Harry Potter is a cultural phenomenon that was beginning to fade away. All of that kind of set the stage for J.K. Rowling to, retire peacefully if she wanted to. Just write her little crime novels and, you know, vibe. Live her life. Enjoy her millions and millions of dollars. But then she decided to tweet. Basically, in the past, she had liked a few tweets from gender-critical people, which is what trans-exclusionary radical feminists call themselves, which is what transphobes used to call themselves. But basically, she liked a few somewhat transphobic tweets, and people were like, what is happening here? Why? But, you know, she got a pass because she's J.K. Rowling. Maybe she's, you know, middle-aged white lady. Maybe she's not with the times, you know. But then she openly made a statement about Maya Forstater, who allegedly got fired from her job for being transphobic. And that opened the floodgates, and obviously people like me and other queer people, many trans people who were part of the Harry Potter community were kind of stunned that she would be so blatant about her transphobia. Yeah, she's just basically kept being transphobic since, and being very, very loudly transphobic. This is someone who, aside from commenting on her work, like post-canon making Dumbledore gay and stuff, although she did refuse to make Dumbledore gay in the Fantastic Beasts franchise. By the way, I did write an article when the second Fantastic Beasts movie was set to come out about why I was kind of over J.K. Rowling back then, but that was a lot more hopeful, even though I'm very angry in it, because I was like, well, J.K. Rowling just needs to be educated. Time for education has... I hope she still gets educated, but, like, I'm done trying to educate this middle-aged multimillionaire. So basically, she got a ton of criticism from Harry Potter fans, and members of the queer community, trans people in the Harry Potter community in general. And then she doubled down and kept going and being like, well, only women get periods, and oh, what about the lesbians? All of these trans men are just lesbians who haven't accepted themselves, and as a lesbian, I just want to reassure anyone who thinks this that if you are a lesbian, you kind of know you're a lesbian. If you realize you're a trans man, you're a trans man, and the lesbians are fine with you being a trans man. Of course, there are transphobes in pretty much every facet of the LGBTQ community aside from the trans community, but most lesbians are pretty chill with trans people. Also, a lot of lesbians are trans. A lot of lesbians are non-binary. A lot of lesbians are he/him lesbians who don't really identify as women but still call themselves lesbians, or lesbianism is very complicated, and I don't think a straight white lady is the person to raise up her sword and be our white knight, the cis straight white lady, because the lesbians are fine. The lesbians are fine. There's a lot of lesbophobia. There's a lot of things that the lesbian community does deal with on a regular basis. Trans people are not the problem. It's generally straight people. Just FYI. As a lesbian, I want to tell trans people, we're all good. You might be a lesbian too. And she kept going and saying really problematic things, believing that she was defending feminism and believing she was defending women. And when she was criticized, she would take the most extreme comments. She still does this, where she takes the most extreme comments of random people on the internet, most likely trans people that are really, really, really hurt by her words, and just says, look at these crazy, crazy people who are not understanding what I'm saying and are taking what I say out of context and then threatening me. A 17-year-old trans person on Twitter is not actually going to call you J.K. Rowling. You, with your millions and millions of dollars in your castle. People who have a certain level of fame and people who have a certain amount of money can just easily log off and go jet skiing, and I would just prefer that overall. I don't know why jet skis are the first thing that came to my mind, but I just, man, I'm tired. I'm tired of this. Hey, editing Norali here, just to clarify that I do not think death threats are a good thing, ever. However, I just wanted to clarify that there is a power imbalance, and a trans person with 100 followers who's saying lol yourself is probably not going to have the same amount of impact as J.K. Rowling actively advocating for transphobia. That's all. Threats are bad, though. Do not send threats to people ever. Just wanted to clarify. So she just keeps being transphobic. Just continuously keeps being transphobic, and I, in the last couple years, have very much tried to stop associating myself with Harry Potter. I have tried to limit my exposure to the Potter universe, and I have stopped financially supporting J.K. Rowling by purchasing Harry Potter branded things. Like, that has been a 100% stop, and that has been incredibly easy for me to do because I don't like spending money in the first place. So, if you still love Harry Potter, if this story still means a lot to you, hi, I'm in the same boat. I still have all of my Harry Potter crap. I still have all 7 books I have them behind these books right here. Plus Fantastic Beasts and Quidditch Through the Ages, and I have a Hedwig plushie made by Lauren Fairweather right there that I really love, and I have a mug where I drew a silhouette of Hogwarts, and I really love it. And I still love Harry Potter because of what it meant to me, because of how it impacted my life and how it made me who I am today. And I'm never going to deny that past. I have videos where I talk about how Harry Potter helped me become politically active and made me find my voice, and how Harry Potter taught me about friendship and all the good things, because Harry Potter has positively impacted my life. No one is telling you to erase that history from your life. However, we live in a capitalistic society, which means you vote with your dollar, which means every single dollar that goes towards J.K. Rowling is promoting her and her ideas. Every time you talk about how much you love Harry Potter on a public platform, you are promoting Harry Potter and you are potentially giving more dollars to J.K. Rowling, which J.K. Rowling, who already has way too much money, has so much money, would be able to use directly to hurt trans people. She has so much power. She has actively made the conversation about trans people more transphobic by talking about this. If you're a marginalized person, if you are a part of a marginalized community, you understand how much systems have power over us and how much it can disenfranchise us. And if someone has a lot of money, they can make those systems worse for us. They can also make those systems better should they choose to, although it seems like no one with a certain amount of money chooses to make the world better and chooses to fly a rocket into space that's shaped like a penis. J.K. Rowling has the money and the power and the influence to make people's lives worse, to make trans people's lives worse specifically, because she believes she is a crusader who is fighting for the rights of women. And if you make financial decisions, which includes your time, because in a capitalist society, your time is your money. If you take time out to consume content surrounding J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter, if you take time to promote J.K. Rowling on your platform by saying, wow, I just read Harry Potter for the 37th time and I loved it. If you do that, if you're spending your time and your energy and your money on Harry Potter, you are actively promoting transphobia. Because that's just how it works. No one is saying don't love Harry Potter, but maybe do what queer people have had to do their entire lives, which is be quiet about it. I personally cannot read Harry Potter really anymore because of how horrible J.K. Rowling is, and how, even though I own the books and have forever, I can't really pick it up and read it because she is actively hurting trans people, and I know too many trans people, and I know how hurt they've been by her actions to even spend my mental energy on her more than I have to with this video. Some of you might be like, but what about death of the author? Like, shouldn't we separate the author from the text? And so many people just don't understand what death of the author is. I was an English major. I studied death of the author. Death of the author is a form of literary criticism that separates the author from the text and reads the text as a text and does not get influenced by the actions an author took in their life. That's what it's for. It's reading Mary Shelley without saying, well, she was a young woman when she wrote Frankenstein and she was with Percy Bysshe Shelley. And it's saying, no, we just read Frankenstein as a book and don't look into her history and analyze it just as words on a page. That is what death of the author is. And somehow it has become bastardized and turned into an excuse for reading books by problematic authors and supporting problematic authors or video game makers or movie directors, when no, that's not what it is. And if you're using that argument to say, well, I still want to read Harry Potter, I mean, I don't really know what to tell you. I honestly don't know what to say, because you don't know what death of the author is, or at this point you do if you're watching this video, and you're just being willfully ignorant so you can just get away with, you can excuse your own transphobia, because at this point you're excusing your own transphobia if you're still choosing to read Harry Potter and actively promote it. Like, I'm not saying don't, if you're having a really shit day and you think reading Harry Potter will make you feel better, I'm not saying don't pick it up and read it, because that's your choice. I personally just cannot do that. It would make my day worse to read Harry Potter at this point because of who J.K. Rowling is at this point in time to me. If you want to read it, read it. If you, I can't tell you what to do and how to spend your time. I do want to kind of explore what you should do. And what I do, and what I think you should do, is just stop talking about it. If you physically cannot stop reading the books or reading fan fiction, I mean, good for you, fine, whatever. Stop talking about it. Stop promoting it. And I mean promotion very, very loosely. Even just telling your friend that you're reading Harry Potter again is promoting it, because it brings it to the forefront of that person's mind. And it's like, oh, maybe I should give it a shot again. And then you are continuing to canonize Harry Potter. You are continuing to keep it culturally relevant. And you're continuing to keep J.K. Rowling culturally relevant, which gives her more power to be transphobic and, just continue the transphobia and make life worse for people. I can't even really watch the Harry Potter musicals or Potter Puppet Pals, even though they're kind of, separate from, the original J.K. Rowling material, because all of that is tangled up in my memories of Harry Potter and loving Harry Potter, and I don't love Harry Potter anymore. I don't love it the way I used to, and I don't want to cause harm by promoting anything that's associated with it. I mean, the bare minimum you can do is stop financially supporting her and stop following her on Twitter. Block her on Twitter. I have her name muted. She still pops up on my feed sometimes because trans people are talking about how harmful she is. Stop listening to what she has to say about trans people, because you know it's going to be bad. If she somehow has a moment, an epiphany of some sort, if she meets Dumbledore at the railway station, he tells her, being transphobic is bad, and she actually listens, good for her, but, do you really want to listen to someone who is so transphobic, even if she suddenly becomes, amazing again? No, not really. I don't really want to listen to her. I'd rather listen to trans people who have intelligent things to say about being trans. There are so many people you can listen to. There are so many books you can read. There's so much you can do. There's so many other voices you can listen to. Why do you want to listen to hers anymore? That's my question. So yeah, stop financially supporting her. Stop following her on Twitter or wherever she has a platform. And stop promoting her. That's what I think you should do. And I also want to briefly talk about what larger organizations should do, because I have seen this happen. I have actively called this out twice this year, once privately and once publicly, with two different organizations, where people within the organization during those events were saying things like, let's talk about the book, let's not talk about J.K. Rowling. We disavow J.K. Rowling, but we want to keep Harry Potter in our lives. One of them is Fandom Forward. I feel like, because I don't want to discuss the other thing that happened, because that one's a little more personal and private, and I hope to God it's being handled privately. But Fandom Forward, in their email talking about how they are changing their name, they switched from the Harry Potter Alliance to Fandom Forward to kind of separate themselves from Harry Potter a little bit. But in the email announcing that, they were like, don't worry, Harry Potter's not going anywhere. And they said that they are keeping the name Asio Books, and they are keeping the name Granger Leadership Academy. And I publicly called this out on Twitter, and they were like, well, people are still inspired by Harry Potter, which I don't deny. I've been inspired by Harry Potter my entire life. I completely understand that. But you are an organization representing a social good. If you are an organization representing a social good and trying to do good in the world, why on earth do you want things that are associated with transphobia in your organization? Why do you want that? I understand that this organization specifically was inspired by Harry Potter, but I don't understand why you are telling most likely cis people, because most trans people I know are over Harry Potter, why are you telling cis people, don't worry, Harry Potter's not going anyway? You are prioritizing, I said this online too, you are prioritizing the feelings of cis people over the daily reality of being trans. You are prioritizing people's feelings over actual oppression that's happening, and I think it's ridiculous, and I think larger organizations should make a statement and actually follow through on disavowing J.K. Rowling's transphobia and other problematic things, and they need to end support for J.K. Rowling's properties, which includes name of an event being named after Harry Potter, having Harry Potter trivia nights, talking about Harry Potter. Especially when a certain organization is considered a leader in a community, in a fandom, in something, they need to be the first to take action and be like, no, what J.K. Rowling does is not okay, what she says is not okay. We need to stop using her properties to further our social good, because using that name promotes Harry Potter and promotes J.K. Rowling and promotes transphobia. Like, it's pretty clear to me what organizations should do, and I don't understand why they don't. I've had people come to me specifically and talk about how hurt they were by Harry Potter being brought up in a casual way at an event where they thought trans people were welcome. The mention of Harry Potter makes trans people feel unwelcome because of what Harry Potter now represents. When Pepe the Frog was initially got popular and became a meme, it was everywhere. Everyone was enjoying it, everyone was having fun, and then slowly but surely it turned into an alt-right symbol, and everyone else stopped using it. This is the equivalent of Pepe the Frog. Harry Potter is now the equivalent of Pepe the Frog in signaling that trans people are unwelcome. And it needs to be taken that seriously, and it needs to stop. We need to stop inviting Harry Potter into our safe spaces because it makes things unsafe for trans people and other queer people. Because of the amount of emotion I have about Harry Potter, good and bad, I just feel like absolute shit every time Harry Potter is brought up. And I cannot participate in most conversations, and it took me a really long time to decide to make this video because it's just so painful. It's a lot to mentally deal with and handle, and when people who you think are doing good things are continuously bringing Harry Potter back into it, you just want to leave. You don't want to be part of that organization anymore. You don't want to do that social good anymore, because why? Why do you want to be a part of that? You're more welcoming to Harry Potter than which is a fictional story that came out in the 90s and early 2000s. You're promoting that over welcoming trans people at this point, and it's ridiculous, and I hate it, and it needs to stop. And yeah, I don't really know what to say other than that, because it needs to stop at an organizational level. It needs to stop at a personal level of individual people promoting it. There was a prominent video blogger and streamer who talked about how she was still excited for the Harry Potter video game and would play it on stream because she still loved Harry Potter so much, and she rightfully got flack for it. Call people out for this stuff. Call people out. Some people aren't just terminally online the way I am, and the way you might be. Some people don't know that J.K. Rowling is as terrible as she is, but then take the time to be like, hey, J.K. Rowling has said some really transphobic things lately, and has been extremely vocal about her transphobia, and I'm not comfortable discussing her anymore. Or be like, I hope that you do your own research and come to the same conclusion that I did, which is I'm not comfortable with what's going on. Which is kind of what I'm trying to do in this video. It's turned into something a lot more rambly than I meant it to be, but at the end of the day, I don't like telling people what to do. I know it seems like it, especially in this video, it really seems like it, but I really don't like telling people what to do. I don't like prescribing behavior to people. Because I'm very into politics, a lot of people try to ask me who to vote for, and every single time, I get really annoying about this. I'm like, do your own research. Vote for who you think is best for you, who you think will help society and help you the best. I am very much, you do the research, you come to your own conclusions, I will present to you my research and I will help you along the path, but I want you to come to your own conclusions about things. But if you believe yourself to be an ally to the trans community, if you're a member of the LGBTQ community, you need to speak up and disavow J.K. Rowling, especially if you're cis, especially if you're straight. Stop supporting J.K. Rowling. That's the gist of this. I stopped supporting J.K. Rowling, and I've told you why, pretty much, and I would like you to stop it as well. If you liked this video, please share it. I would like to thank you for sitting through this. You can, if you want to see more like this, I will probably not be as emotional for the rest of them, but if you would like to see more videos talking about issues like this, hit the subscribe button and let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. If you disagree with me, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you agree with me, also would love to hear your thoughts. Yeah, that is it for this video. Again, I do make stuff and talk about things on this channel, so if you would like to see me making stuff, also hit subscribe. I will be making stuff in the next video, so yeah, that is it for this video. I will see you all next time. Bye. Special thanks to Untapped Inkwell, PaulonX8, Ben Birdperson, and Eric Svensson for being my wonderful patrons. Thank you so much. If you would like to support my video work, head on over to my Patreon and check out the perks.